Welcome to Daily Tax Savings. This is Tony Novak here to share a few points on saving taxes and staying out of tax trouble. Today's topic is IRS threatening passports. And what triggers this story today is I've had my first client receive a letter from IRS saying that they've started the process of notifying the Department of State that the taxpayer owes a serious amount of taxes, and that will lead to a non-renewal of their passport, possibly even cancellation of the current passport, although that's not the common practice. So we've covered this topic before in earlier editions. So let me just repeat. So this law, this part of tax law, has been around about a decade, a little less than a decade, and IRS has used it on about 1 million taxpayers now who owed more than $50,000. It's indexed, so I think it's up to 56,000 this year. But in this case, and most of the cases that I hear about are substantially above that. This one that I saw is in the $500,000 range of tax debt. And we said before that IRS isn't interested in preventing you from traveling or keeping you in the United States or keeping you from going on vacation, any of that. What they're trying to do is get your attention to address your tax issue, to enter into a payment agreement or a non-collectible or federal bankruptcy court or something to address the tax issue that's going on and on. So, as I mentioned, I've had a client receive the letter, and it's usually an emotional reaction from other stories I've heard. This is the first time I've dealt with it personally, and we've said before, there's no reason to panic. As we said, it's a wake up call. IRS, everything that they do gives you time. There is time to address it, and it turns out that in about half of the cases, IRS sends just the letter. All they do is send the letter and do nothing else, that the tax debt does get resolved one way or another. So it is proving to be an effective way to address taxpayer issues. The other half, of course, apparently have no solution or don't work at it or have no solution, and they can have their next passport application declined. And I mentioned they can actually cancel your current passport. I haven't actually heard of that happening in real life. No person or tax professional has told me that an existing passport was canceled. What it usually is, as far as I know, is the next application. So a passport is good for 10 years. If your passport is young, if you've had it renewed recently, for example, I renewed mine just last year, so it's got 9 years left on it. If I have tax debt, unfortunately I don't, but if I did, there's a good chance that debt would be paid off or expired before the next passport application. So in some cases, it may not be as big a deal, and I wonder if that's what's happening in the half of the cases where the passport is not addressed. The other is that, not everybody even travels outside the country. So if you're not planning on traveling, then maybe it's no big deal. But that's the point. I think the technical word identification that tax professional uses, a CP 508C letter. And all it says is, we've identified you as having serious tax debt, and we've notified the State Department to not renew your passport. Again, IRS has nothing to do with passports. It's just that they've notified the Department of State about your tax debt. So we'd love to hear if you've had any experiences with this, or if you want to talk with me one-on-one about it. That's easy to do also. Find me at taxproblems.cpa. And I'll be back tomorrow with another Tax Savings Minute.